We record this meeting on Zoom so that if you have any neighbors who are interested in learning more about what you see tonight and what you've participated in, that we'll post this neighborhood meeting on the City of Franklin's website. So if you were to Google City of Franklin neighborhood meetings, you'll get a link there that takes you to all the recorded meetings in the city, and you'll be able to watch or share this link at that time. We have two ways to communicate with us tonight. One is just simply take yourself off mute. You can take yourself off mute and ask us a question. I'd prefer that you not take yourself off mute until I get through the full presentation, though. We'll have plenty of time to answer any questions that you may have. We want to make sure that we address any questions that we have not answered through our presentation. The second way is through the chat. You should have a little button on your Zoom there that you can click on. It opens up a chat window. If in the middle of the presentation you think of something that you want to make sure that I answer, you want to just type it in the chat, ask that question. We're going to go right back to the chat questions as soon as we finish the presentation here in just a few minutes. And if I'm distracted for whatever reason, it's because I'm letting somebody else into the meeting. So sorry about that. But thank you all for taking time to join us tonight. We have representatives from Ford in the meeting with us as well. If you have questions for them specifically, we can ask them to answer as well. But Coletta Park is located just south of Highway 96 and just to the northeast of South Carruthers Road. The property master plan, the development plan, was approved right around 2016 with a total of 199 acres, 199 lots, a mixture of 1 acre lots that are here to the north, transitioning to lots that are 100 feet wide, transitioning to smaller lots as we get closer to Lockwood Glen. There is an access point on the approved master plan right off of Carruthers Road that is the main entrance into the development. Section 1, the first phase of development, construction documents have been approved, and you can see earthwork and activity right now that's going on in order to create this road and this entrance. At the time that this plan was approved, there was only one access point into the development. The other access point here, connecting to the north, is approved as a gated emergency connection only. So that's that connection there. It will be gated, and it's only to be used by emergency vehicles if and when something has happened down here to block this access off. This is not an emergency connection to be used for a 911 call. This is an emergency that would entail a blockage of the road in some way. There's a second emergency egress path, which starts at the end of this cul-de-sac, the end of this cul-de-sac. It's a 12-foot wide emergency path, and it connects to this road right here. It will also be gated and can only be opened in the event of an emergency that blocks the road. So again, this plan is approved. Construction has started, but as a part of the approval of this plan, there was a requirement to create a second point of connection out onto Carruthers Road. There are two Envision Franklin policies on the property today. The first one, which is to the north, is the single family policy. That means that anything up here to the north in this lighter yellow color is to be only single family homes. The density proposed on this portion of the plan is 0.84 homes per acre in this area, this lighter yellow color. In the darker yellow color, that is identified as the mixed residential policy. The mixed residential policy supports attached townhomes, single family detached homes as well. The density of this darker yellow area here, just by itself, the net density is 3.3 homes per acre in that location. And that includes this little area right here that becomes the access out onto Carruthers Parkway for our second point of access. We've provided you with some of the densities of some of the other neighborhoods just to kind of get a sense of the relationship and comparison. So the property that we are now including into the Coletta Park Master Plan is called MGA 1 in the county. That's Municipal Growth Area 1. And that's a county designation, a county zoning. This property in red here has not been annexed into the city of Franklin yet. The property is being proposed to be included in the Coletta Park development plan and would have a planned district designation. So in comparison, we have the existing approved plan here on the left, and on the right, we have a new design for this mixed residential character area. This mixed residential character area includes single family detached lots and homes in the area that is currently Coletta Park. So we're not adding any attached homes in that area that's currently Coletta Park. We are adding alleys in this mid-block area here, and we are adding an alley located here to provide access to garages for these homes. The new street that then connects out to South Carruthers Road would have 5 townhome buildings that would be alley loaded with the garages located behind. Along Carruthers Road at the kind of at the top of the hill, which is right in here, this would be the top of the hill. We're leaving all of this area here along the frontage as open space. We do intend to add a new clubhouse and swimming pool in this location. It's not shown on the plan exactly, but I wanted to give you some idea where we were talking about doing that, but that would be the location of the amenity center. We are also setting the townhomes back off of Carruthers Road approximately 125 feet to provide more open space relief along the street, so that the drive experience along Carruthers Road is more of open space where the buildings are not right up on the street. That's pretty characteristic of what you see at Lockwood Glen, where the buildings are kind of pushed back off of Carruthers Road, and we have more open space and landscape, and we feel like that is appropriate along Carruthers Road in this section as well. The homes being proposed are in keeping with other communities within the neighborhood. Single family detached will have driveways that access the street with the garage on the side, or we'll have garages that are off of the alley with the homes with grand front porches facing out onto the public streets. And then for the 5 buildings that have townhomes, those would be in keeping with what you're seeing here on the right side. So in full, all of this area here that's ghosted out in the master plan is to stay exactly the way that it was originally improved, including the emergency gates, the emergency connections, the 1 acre lots, the open space areas. All of that area stays with the original approval. The only change is happening down on this lower end. So I'm going to leave this slide up so you can see both at the same time. And we're going to answer some questions. We've got 2 in the chat. Do you plan on accessing any of the existing Cross Creek neighborhood roads like last time? No, we do not. All that is staying exactly the same as it was in the original approval. Is the lot north of the new section that's being added greenfield, or is there a home or building on it? And why is this left to split the 2 sections of the development? Maybe a different owner who did not want to sell. It is an owner that's not interested in selling right now. That property that you're referring to is I'll highlight it with my pen here, is right here. And you'll notice in this closer view here, we have a road extension that would go to this property. If it were to develop in the future, would still have street access for future development. It currently has a design policy on it of mixed residential as well. Similar in concept. Explain the previous proposal that tried to access Warren Road and how this differs. Sure. Let's see. Okay. The city of Franklin has a requirement that when there's a right-of-way stub to a property that you're required to connect to it. So right over here is Warren Road. And you see this little area right here that is right-of-way. That is right-of-way that's been publicly dedicated and platted with Williamson County. So back in 2016 and 17, the city had asked for a connection to that road stub. What wasn't understood until the surveyors went out was that the road would end up being about 15 to 16% slope, which is too steep for our fire trucks and our emergency vehicles. And this plan was approved without the connection to Warren Road, and we are not proposing a connection to Warren Road. What is the value of the homes in this new addition? I don't have the values today. The very first part of a master plan process with the city of Franklin is a neighborhood meeting. So you guys are on the very front end. You're on at the start of the conversation. So, you know, today in Franklin, I don't know that you can buy a new home for under $1 million. You're probably seeing that in some of your neighborhoods. This would be probably in keeping with that. Obviously, with the opportunity to have a 1 acre lot, larger estate home here, the prices would go up from there. So I don't exactly know how much it would cost, but it would be in keeping with the neighborhoods that are currently being developed out along Carruthers Parkway. How do you propose roads around Carruthers to handle the increased traffic resulting from this high density? Well, the density is certainly in keeping with the other neighbors and the other neighborhoods that are in direct immediate proximity to this. And that's one of the things the city of Franklin does so good with is to plan and look at context. And so you can see on this map, kind of looking at and understanding the context of the gold color area and densities associated with that. And then that transition to the lighter color and how densities really need to be reduced down when you talk about single family policy. So there are going to be road improvements. Carruthers Road is not fully built to the city of Franklin's design specifications. As new development occurs, roadways get improved. You've seen that with Simmons Ridge and the road improvements that they were required to do on Carruthers Road. Those same kind of road improvements are required as new development occurs along this road. We have a traffic study that is required as a part of this submittal to the city of Franklin. That traffic study has not been submitted yet. The traffic study must be reviewed and road improvements, offsite road improvements must be determined prior to the planning commission date. So it's a part of this process. Again, I'll remind you, this is the very front end, so we've got a long way to go. I just took 2 people off mute that may have had a question, and I just wanted to, if you don't mind, go ahead and take yourself off mute and feel free to ask. No? I'll stay with the chats then. Let's see. The lot I was asking about is it annexed into the city or it's in the county? It's currently in the county. That lot that all of these properties that you're seeing in gray through here, this kind of gray color, these are all currently in the county, including the one that we're asking to be annexed.
Sir, can you hear me?
I sure can. Yes, sir, Lee. Go ahead.
This is Lee Hoffman. we have a problem with deer up here, of course, and every time we plant something, it gets eaten up. How will this new subdivision affect the wildlife?
So we have this area of open space. So I don't know how familiar you are with the property. There's a creek that runs down through here. And that creek is a protected resource by the state of Tennessee and by the Army Corps of Engineers. And it's required to have 60-foot buffers from the top of bank on both sides. So instead of coming over here and developing all of this open space, which is about 25 to 30 acres, we're leaving that wooded. All of that area that you're seeing here in green stays just like that. All of this area here that has existing tree canopy is going to stay just like that. All of this area that's over here that ties along Warren Road is going to stay just like that. So you're right. Animals need a place to live, and we're hoping that through the intentional preservation of open space on this property, we can plan for that.
Good.
Let's see. In the plans submitted on January 2022, the density of this area with 8 homes on acre lots. Why was this change made? We were able to have copies of the plans that were, are we able to have plans of the copies? Sorry, are we able to have copies of the plans that are on the screen right now? Yes, the city of Franklin has a public records request process, and this neighborhood meeting is a part of that public records, as well as plans that will be filed. We've not filed with the city of Franklin yet, so no plans have been submitted. We were required to have this neighborhood meeting and get your input and get feedback there. A lot of times there are just things we don't know or we don't think about, and neighbors who are very familiar with the area and live here bring things to our attention that we didn't know about. So neighborhood meetings are important, and we appreciate that. So as we move forward, you can certainly do a public records request with the city. Do we have assurances?
Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea how many people are going to be moving into this area?
You know, the city of Franklin averages about 2.4 residences per home. So I would imagine that we would be pretty consistent with what the city of Franklin's normal, you know, number of residents would be.
How many homes did you say you were building?
Sure, there are 261 homes that are being proposed. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, can I go off mute?
Yeah, go ahead, Clive. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi.
So I had a, you know, I know there's a lot of sinkholes back there, and there's I guess one of my you know, when one of my questions is about the wildlife. It's like, looks like you're going to take out more than half of that space, and there's not a lot of bigger pockets of open space for the wildlife. So that was my concern, that you're building, you know, you're taking out all those trees in the middle there. It's about, it looks like about half or 3/4. You're going to leave some of it. And a lot of the land is very steep. I know on the banks, the houses behind Warren Road, it's a very steep embankment there. And
yeah, that's why we want to leave that protected. There's about a 125-foot wide corridor that's stream preservation and tree canopy preservation that extends all the way through this area. So from Simmons Ridge, going all the way up through.
yeah, now when I talked to you too, you talked about putting trails in there. So
yeah,
are you gonna put trails up in that area?
Having some nature trails would be wonderful. Yeah, I think just getting people the opportunity to get outside and walk on the nature trails. You know, Ladd Park has some really good ones. West Haven has some great walking trails through their woods, and just allowing that to be an amenity for the residents, I think would be fantastic.
That's good for the people, I guess, but it's gonna dislocate. It'll just yeah, more of the wildlife if there's trails through there. But and then the other thing, I'm a traffic engineer from Los Angeles, and so
Excellent.
a little bit about traffic plans. I see why you put the emergency access. This development is kind of uh, it's got a weird aspect into it in that this new property is just going to access South Carruthers, and then you've got an adjacent Cross Creek, and you got Ridgeway drives that are not going to, they're just going to access the north. This small property is just going to access the south. I guess there are, access to emergency vehicles, ambulances, and fire trucks, and that they're going to have to go up from South Carruthers. They won't have another access there, except I guess they will use that emergency access. Is it the people in Cross Creek don't want to connect the two? They don't want
Yeah,
your
these are county, these are subdivisions that are currently in the county. They were developed in the county. And these roadways are being maintained by Williamson County. So it's their decision. And they decided, the County Highway Commission decided that emergency connection was a sufficient connection and they did not want full connectivity.
I see.
Can
Okay.
I speak on that?
So we have, in coordination with the city of Franklin and the major thoroughfare plan, Carruthers Road, let me know if you can't see that. I could go to a bigger pen, couldn't I? Okay, so Carruthers Road, all the way back to here is going to be a 3-lane road with a turn lane in the middle. And this intersection right here is about to become a signalized intersection. So there are improvements coming that start to address not just new traffic from 261 homes, but the existing traffic that's here now.
I've got a question. Can I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, babe.
So I know you talked about it, but I must have missed it. So the access to the north is where? Do you have access to Murfreesboro Road or not?
We don't. We have an emergency gated connection right here. And
I
we
see that.
have
That's-
a 12-foot wide pedestrian path that's gated right here. So
Right, so
both of those connections are emergency only.
So the second one is Beacon Hill, and the first
That's
one
right.
was Ridgeway. Is that right?
I'm not sure that it has a name. It may have a name. But this
I think
is
that's
Ridgeway Drive.
that's Stanford.
Stanford, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, but connecting to Ridgeway there.
Connecting to Ridgeway,
Beacon
yeah.
Hill. So then my question is, at what point would you be able to open those permanently?
Yeah,
And I
so
know you
when
tried to, we fought very hard to resist all that.
yeah,
Being
when these
part
are
of Cross
gated,
Creek.
when these are gated off,
Yeah.
the fire department has asked that it be a padlock because they carry those lock cutters on their trucks. And they would cut that if there was a tornadic event that caused residents within this neighborhood to not be able to get out.
Right.
Like I said, it's not a emergency access for a 911 call. Somebody's having a broken arm or something like that. They're going to
No,
use public street.
my question though is how will you be able to contravene the agreement with the county at some point, because those residents are not going to want to just have one access road. So there's going to be
It's up to the
pressure.
county. I mean, the county, it's up to that county highway commission.
Right.
I doubt it.
'Cause-
I don't think that I think if I lived back here on the 1-acre lots, you think you'd want bypass traffic going past your house? Probably not.
No, I live right there where we're talking.
Yeah.
I live right there. That's my house. We're looking at it.
Yeah.
So, and we fought like hell before when you guys tried to access Cross Creek Road.
Yeah, and we're not changing any of that. All that stays just
Yeah.
like it is.
No, I'm just saying, what are your plan? Okay. So when your residents
We're not going backwards.
or when your potential residents decide they're not going to go into a place that's locked into one exit, what is it that you guys would be able to do to try to open up that access? You must have a plan.
I don't know, the gated access would be disclosed at the sale of the home. I mean, they'd be aware of it, they would know about it. I don't, it's up to the highway commission. We don't have authority. The
Oh, I know, I'm
residents,
just saying, I'm just wondering what you're gonna try. Cause I know you're going to.
no, we're not trying
You'd be-
anything.
Well, you'd be crazy not to. Nobody's gonna want to move in there and have to drive all the way south down to Carruthers to get in and out. I mean, that's
Okay.
a ways, and it's gonna be a lot of traffic on one lane road, you know.
Okay, but that's how it's set up.
That's how it's set up for now. Okay. I
We
just
don't
wanted to see if
have,
you-
I don't have the ability to make the county change their mind.
Well, money does anything. That's all you guys care about. So,
I don't
you
know.
bribe the right people
Greg.
with the right amount of money.
I'd like
I'm-
to speak to this.
I'm
Sure,
certain.
Alderman
please,
Berger.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to this. Once
Another
the-
money grubber. Awesome.
What, sir,
Excuse me, sir, please be respectful.
I'd like to have some respect.
That was respectful. You
Well,
should hear what I wanted to say.
maybe you shouldn't be on this call.
I'm gonna put you on mute while Bev talks.
Thank you, Mr. Gamble. Once this is all has to be done by law. Once their development is approved by the city planning department, planning commission, and the board of mayor and aldermen, that plan is solidified and that is what they have to stick to. For them to come back later, for any of those residents to come back later and ask for that to be opened, is not possible for the city to even grant that. It's not under our jurisdiction. So by law, we will not be able to do that. Now, if residents in that area who are living there in the future, if they would like that access point opened, and they would all have to probably have way over 50% agree to it, they would have to appear before the highway commission at the county, and they would have to submit petitions and do so. But knowing the highway commission over there, they would be talking first to the residents in the county, and that would be the way they would go. They would be doing the wishes of the people in the county who they represent. It is their jurisdiction to do that with their county residents first. It's our jurisdiction to stay to a plan. We may not by law impede that once it is solidified in a development plan and approved. I just wanted to make sure that that was understood. Thank you very much, Mr. Gamble.
Sure, thank you, Alderman Berger.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to let you know that me and everyone here in Cross Creek will fight just like we did last time when you guys try to access it. And I know you will. And the Franklin, the aldermen and the mayor, it's just, they're fully in line with, they wanted to annex our property into the city. And it's like, but they weren't prepared to improve the roads or put us on sewer or give us street lights. We do all of that. We pay our own electricity. We're all on septic here. You can't possibly put in wider roads because it's in people's property. So anyway, just so that you know, I'm speaking for a lot of people, and we'll fight like the Dickens to resist any sort of access into Cross Creek. So just to let you know, we're paying attention, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Alan, do you have a question?
Yeah, so looking at your plans here, looking at the current plan to the proposed down on the new section where your changes are,
Yes.
it looks like you're also proposing to add a larger number of houses in there and increasing that density. Because before you had a cul-de-sac, now you've got a road going all the way through.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's also part of this plan too, right? You're requesting the approval to add more houses into this section.
To this section here into this, the area that's gold here. Yeah, absolutely.
And increase the housing density there too, right?
Right.
Because I think that this is a lot tighter than what was originally approved.
Tighter?
Well, a lot more houses. The property density's a lot tighter than it was before, right? You've got more houses per acre than what the original plan has.
Yeah, there are a few. Yes, in this area here that we've highlighted that's darker, there are more homes than on the previous plan.
Okay. So my question is, how does that fit with the Envision Franklin, which was, I believe, contingent lot sizes, like adjacent properties, it aligns to it. It looks like maybe this is a bit of a deviation from that.
Sure, it's not. The area that you're seeing here in gold is identified in Envision Franklin as mixed residential. And you can see the kind of higher densities of Lockwood Glen, Simmons Ridge. So that design policy is in keeping with the lot sizes and the mixture of townhomes and single family, alley loaded and front loaded. So really the lot sizes, the street characteristics, the homes that are in Lockwood Glen are in keeping with what we're proposing here in the gold. When you go to the yellow area, that's where the density decreases significantly.
Yeah, I could see that. You're not changing the part up closer to Cross Creek or Franklin East and up north. It's just down there.
Yeah, just down on the southern end where that gold area is located. Uh-huh.
How many additional houses do you have planned in that area compared to the current plan?
Well, there's 62 that are in this area right here that's highlighted, that, you know, is highlighted. There were about 25 to 30 on the previous plan.
Okay,
So that's an increase of about, yeah, it's an increase, net increase.
a little over double.
Sorry, say it again.
A little over double then.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only reason for bringing it up is one, that's a kind of a part of the proposal that doesn't jump out at you. That's part of it too. You're adding more houses in there.
Absolutely.
And then what does it do to traffic volume and that kind of stuff? You know.
Yeah, when we have
you got to do traffic studies.
Yeah, when we have the traffic study reviewed, we're anticipating to see those road improvements for sure.
Yeah, because I was pretty sure that's much more dense than the original plan, and I didn't know how that. You know, I'm sure the city and county will look at it to make sure it aligns still with the envision, you know, the contingent lots and that kind of stuff. But
Right.
Okay, thanks. That was
Yeah,
my
they'll have
question.
to, Alan. Yeah, thank you. No problem.
Yeah, that's what it's doing. Okay, thanks.
Sure. Let's see. There are a couple more questions over on chat. Can you please expound on the plans to handle increased traffic? Carruthers is already crowded. The addition of 500 drivers plus the traffic for the coming park may also, may make the parkway a nightmare. On this map, maybe the better one to show. The ultimate build out of Carruthers Road that I'm showing here in pink is a 3-lane road. So it'll have a center turn lane the entire length, just like what you've seen here built in front of Simmons Ridge. That will continue north. There's a new traffic signal that is already approved for installation at this intersection of Carruthers Road and Carruthers Parkway. We have submitted a traffic study, but that traffic study typically tells us if the turn lanes need to be longer and what offsite road improvements need to be done. So yes, there will have to be a plan in place to mitigate any additional traffic volumes that are created by this development. Clyde, did you have a question? I put you on mute, but if you do have a question, please.
Let me take it off. Yeah, so I'm looking at the flood USGS flood map here.
Yeah, okay.
And I see my son-in-law was saying that they were kayaking around Carruthers one time. There was a lot of water there, and it looks like there's a big floodplain close to that area. I mean, and you are adding more. Yeah, I'm wondering about the and within the site, is there any? I know there's a creek there. Is there what's the?
Yeah, so you see this green on this Envision Franklin map?
Yeah.
Okay, that is the protected area that's called the floodway fringe overlay. And that's the 100-year floodplain. And all of that is down here alongside the Harpeth River. And it comes up into this area and drops back. So this blue line through here, that's the Harpeth River. And then that green area that you're seeing is the 100-year floodplain. There's also Watson's Branch. that flows through here that has green associated with it where there's 100-year floodplain as well. So
Right.
yeah, those are definitely documented on the map, but those aren't close to where we are.
Now it's close to that signal you're saying,
Yeah, you know where
That-
the pond, you know where the
yeah.
lake is? That lake is in the 100-year floodplain, but you're right, it's kind of near the signal.
I
Sure.
mean, so yeah, I mean, we've had the 100-year flood, not that long ago, and
Not that long ago.
the way things are going, we probably have another. So it,
Hope not.
you know, chances are that at some point that's going to get flooded, and then that one access that you're going to have to that development's going to be, you know, going to be tough to get in there, in and out of there. That's one thing. I don't know what guidelines there are for build, you know, for that, but and I mean, basically the other one, I'm just, you know, we moved here from California, but we're impressed, like all the wildlife and everything, and around there's so much development around Franklin, and there's not too many large pockets of woodland that you have interspersed here. So this is a fairly large pocket that, you know, I'm concerned that that's being, you know, half of it's going to be taken out. So, you know, a lot of the wildlife's going to be displaced, and, you know, it's just the quality of life of the neighborhood and just everything. It changes. It's gonna change things as well as the traffic, but
Thanks, Clive. Yeah. Let's see, we have another question. Did I hear you say you were not going to annex any part of Warren Road? We are not proposing any annexation of Warren Road.
Okay.
I don't know if there are any other questions in chat. If I missed your question on
Hey,
the,
Greg, I've got a question for you.
hey, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, so just a couple questions. So actually, my question was in about the trees that are in the green space, because I'm one lot north of that access road off of Warren Road. So my house butts right up next to the trees and the green space there.
You're kind of in this area here somewhere. Okay,
I'm really at the bottom of that line is
Okay.
where my lot is.
all right.
So in what I've seen a lot of developments done, although they say they're going to be trees, they go in and bulldoze down all the existing trees and then go back in and plant new ones or such. I mean, are the existing trees that are there, are those going to be left there? What's the plan for that?
Left there.
Okay. So basically from the creek to the east is essentially
From the-
going to be untouched for the most part.
That's right.
Okay, and then like I say, as they talk about the wildlife that's in there, our yard is the crossing path for about a dozen deer every
Awesome.
dawn and dusk that come in and out of those trees. And then the question on the new area that's, I guess that's got the yellow zoning, the higher density zoning. When was that area zoned at the higher level? Was that?
Yes, it's not zoning, it's just a land use policy.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
land use
Whatever
policy.
terminology is correct.
Yeah, and that's fine. The land use policy was put in place when Envision Franklin was first drafted. That would have been back, oh, my memory, 2009. 2013, I think, somewhere in there.
Okay. So my question is, why wasn't this section included with the original proposal?
We didn't have a
Did you
second
just-
point of access. Yeah, we just didn't have a second means of egress.
So you
now
didn't own that strip of land at
For
4 years ago or 3 years ago?
yeah, Ford didn't, not when they originally took Cleta through. So you can see here, the property boundaries just kind of came straight down this way and then back up. And so by adding this property in and having that second point of access out, allowed for a different master plan. Yeah. Jan, do you have a question?
I do. So we had heard, we live right at the end of Cross Creek Drive, southern part of Cross Creek Drive.
Okay.
We had heard some construction heavy equipment back behind our house several months ago, and we went to the planning office to see if there had been any changes to the plan that had been submitted for Coletta Park. And the copy of the plan that I have was issued on January of 2022, and there were 8 homes proposed in this area at the time. And now I think I heard you say there are going to be 261 homes in this area. I'm curious about the timeline that you see, and I know it's rough because it involves approvals from governmental bodies, but what would you like to see the timeline from this proposed revision to when you begin construction on these homes?
Well, let me address the first part of your statement. The Coletta Park has a development plan. The development plan is approved. That's the master plan of the whole development. When you have a development plan, and once it's approved and entitled through the votes by the board, mayor, and alderman, the next step is to submit construction documents. And those site plan construction documents are incremental. They're a little bit at a time, because the developer is not going to commit to installing 100% of all the infrastructure for the community. They want to do it a little at a time, build a little bit of road at a time. So that first site plan, which is construction documents that you saw, may have only included 8 homes, but that was not encompassing of the entire development. So a community that has 261 homes in it, they would probably, I'm totally guessing, but my guess is that they would probably start selling homes spring of next year. And it would probably take them somewhere between 3 and 4 years to complete the entire neighborhood. That'd be my guess.
So
Can
what
I ask
becomes phase
can I
one
ask
then?
one
Sure,
quick
Jan.
little question about that too?
Sure.
I know y'all have proposed having a buffer between Cross Creek, and I see it on here.
It's 80 feet wide. Yes, that's right.
80 feet.
Mhm.
Are there any plans by the developer to there's an old farm fence along that border.
Okay.
Are there any plans for the developer to improve that fencing, or are they just going to leave it as is?
Jan, I have not asked that question, and I don't know off the top of my head. In my letter that I sent out, I have my email address is included. If you want to send me an email with that question, I'll find out and I'll email you back.
Okay.
I just got two quick things.
Yeah, sure, Clive.
Yeah, one of them, I just wanted to comment on I like your maps that you're showing here. Like I said, I was in neighborhood traffic management. We did a lot of maps, sent out maps to people and had maps. The one that you sent out, I don't know if you're going to be sending more material, but it's not very clear. It doesn't show the accesses. It doesn't show you mentioned to me the creek. I couldn't see the creek on here. I couldn't tell where my house was. So it's like, yeah. So
But we will have some very technical documents that will be submitted to the city of Franklin on Monday.
Okay.
Chelsea Randolph is with the planning department. Chelsea, how soon would they be able to do a public records request once our plans are submitted?
They could do a records request right away. The timeline on when that would get back to you, I'm not 100% sure, because that's the admin department that handles and facilitates that. But I would say that I'm more than happy to walk you through the process to creating an IDT login. And if you have an IDT login, you can search for projects, and that's free, and you can do that right away.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, and the other thing I was just going to say, well, I'm on Warren Road. It's a dead end road. But there's a trip table. It says how many cars per, residence you're going to have. But in addition to that, in these days with Amazon and all the deliveries, there's constant traffic on our Warren Road. And the way that you have this laid out, there's one main road that services most of these. So that's gonna have a constant flow of traffic back and forth, all the deliveries and everything else during the day. So, and there's, the street layout itself, it doesn't connect to, how do you turn it around at that emergency exit? Is there going to be a cul-de-sac there or something?
There would need to be a turnaround, yes, for sure.
Okay, because it's just showing it straight, right here at the top, it just shows it straight there, a cutoff.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so they've got to do that, and and then that road does not connect to this other road back here. So anyway, the road layout's gonna put most of your traffic on that one main road that goes to the dead ends actually. So okay.
Thanks, Clive.
Hey, Greg, I was trying to figure out how to raise my hand here, but I can't find the right emoji for it.
You're fine. Go right ahead, Alec.
So I think I got like 3 questions, some for you and maybe one for any of the aldermen that are on here. One, in the new plan, it looks like that lot that's kind of in the middle of it, isn't that creating a donut hole? Like, is that still county right now?
It is in the county.
So I kind of thought we were trying not to make donut holes like that in even though we've kind of done one with Cross Creek with everything building around it too.
Yeah. The problem is having a donut hole that doesn't have any consideration for connectivity in the future. And so the city has a requirement for providing additional connectivity, and that's what we're doing here. The problem is when you have a donut hole where development happens around it, where no one's thought about how future connectivity or future development of that property would work. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So just, what's the plan for the donut hole? Maybe it's not an issue with connectivity or not. The other one is, and you may not know the answer to this, but how much blasting and like heavy rock moving stuff are you expecting to have with this building?
Yeah, there will be some. Yeah.
I asked that. The current stuff that's going on to I guess it would be the west of Cross Creek, the one at the south end, and then the one at the north end. That's pretty extreme. I mean, it's been, I can't imagine the hell that the people that are right adjacent to that have been going through. There's been blasting and constant, the jackhammers hitting. It's pretty rough, and I think we need to look at maybe some mitigation plans for that or stuff in the future, because I hear it in my house and I'm at least a half a mile away from it. So I'm really I'm concerned about that. And honestly, my biggest concern about this, and this is probably more for the aldermen on the board to, I just ask you humbly to listen to the concern and not ignore it. But we've doubled the density with this. This isn't approved yet. This is the ask to double the density in this section to the south. Yeah, for this part of the building. My concern is now that we've doubled the density there, so when we go to build out the next section up, that's going to make it okay to double that density, and it's going to leapfrog all the way through the building, and we deviate completely away from the plan that we hammered out as a community 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't know if there's any assurances you can give us for that, but that's what I kind of see happening here, right? We double the density into the south, then we build the next section out. That gives us the okay to double the density there. Then we move further north and we double the density, and next thing you know, we've got the original plan, which was twice the houses we had in the one that got agreed on. So don't know what your thoughts are on that, Alderman, but that is a citizen's concern about what we're doing here.
Alan, we'll be presenting this master plan at the Joint Conceptual Workshop on October the 25th. It starts at typically 5 o'clock. That is a presentation to the board and mayor and alderman and the planning commission at the same time. So that might be a good one for you to watch on the YouTube channel, or you could certainly attend in person. It's a public meeting. But if you want to gather really the alderman's, thoughts and planning commission's thoughts at a preliminary level, that'd be a good place to attend.
Yeah, and I hope that concern. Yeah, Greg, I know your job is to make money and make money for your constituents that you represent. Respect that, understand it. And the more houses you put in, the more money you make. Got it. But we've also, I'm concerned about the great quality of life we've had at Cross Creek for 20 some years now. And an increased property density has impacts on that. So that's where the last one's coming from. So.
Thanks, Alan.
Yep.
Greg,
Hey, Chris.
hey, a lot of my questions have been answered, and I'm pretty confident I understand now that there will not be any access to Murfreesboro Road. Is that correct? No red
Yes.
light or anything, right?
That's correct. Just an emergency gated connection for emergency vehicles if they need it.
Okay. Now, my reason for asking that is I live on the opposite side of the road. I hear everybody else in Cross Creek are on that side of the road. But you don't know what all this construction and what a headache it's been for us that live over on Chester Stevens. And we've
Yeah.
had to put up with that, and the traffic has increased so much since they finished the 5-lane on 96 out there, that in the mornings now, it takes forever just to get out of my driveway. And the traffic is just terrible. And I for one, I don't see how all this access is going to come out of this development on the Carruthers. Man, that's going to be a mess, because coming out of Carruthers every morning is a mess up there at the intersection of 96 and Carruthers. It's just pitiful. And now I'm finding out most people are cutting through the subdivisions back behind us, like they're going through to get over to I can't even remember the name of the road, but Oxford Glen, for instance. And you go through there and you go all the way over the interstate, and you think, well, that's a shortcut. When you get back in there and see all the traffic that's going that way, and all these people are coming from Murfreesboro now. I had a man that did some work on my house from Murfreesboro the other day, and I asked him how he came over, and he said, well, I came 840 all the way to Triune, and then I got off one on 96 because it's a lot easier, and I don't have to go 6 more miles when I get 65 and come up. I'm there when I get there. And people aren't fools. They'll figure it out. And it's just become a mess. And I'm not saying you're the cause of it or anything else. I'm just saying that's what it's coming to. It's coming to a big mess. And my house is, I've already lost part of my yard twice because of the road construction out there. And
hopefully we've seen the last of that for a little while, for sure.
Yeah. And I just love all the traffic coming down off the hill up there where people do, when these trucks do the engine braking and whatever at 10 o'clock at night or whatever. And that's nice.
You feel it, can't you? Yeah.
So, and the police won't do anything. City won't do anything. Everybody says it's somebody else's responsibility. So I just thought I'd get that off my chest. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Betts. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
I need to correct something I said earlier. I said that we were going to be at the Joint Conceptual Workshop on October the 24th. That's not the case. We're going to be on the December 12th Joint Conceptual Workshop. So that'll be the next agenda that you will see this plan on. So sorry for that. It should start around 5. It usually does. You might want to check the City of Franklin's agendas in either case, just to make sure. But again, my email should be with that letter I sent out. Y'all feel free to email me if you have any questions as we go through this process. Pam, you had a question as to whether or not trees were going to be removed behind your lot line. Not that I'm aware of. I see these graphics, on the previous plan, it shows trees removed. On the new plan, it shows them left Let me confirm that with you, but I'm not aware of any trees being removed, so. All right, any final questions here?
Oh, yeah, just sorry. One
Sure,
last.
Clive, go ahead.
So the amount of trees that are removed, putting in all, all the subdivision or the amount, do you have is there, as opposed to do you have any kind of ratio of the total area that you're going to leave and the area that you're going to develop? So all that area that's going to be developed, trees will need to be removed in those areas.
That's right. I
Yeah.
didn't have that in front of me tonight. Again, that's something I can probably send you, Clive. It's certainly documented on our plan set. So when you get those plans, you'll be able to see tree canopy preservation requirements and the tree preservation canopy provided.
Okay. And as far as the steepness of the land, you talked about the 18% slope or whatever.
15, yeah.
Yeah, is there any requirements that you can't build on really steep hillsides or
Yeah, you can't develop 20% or greater.
okay.
Yeah, but a roadway cannot exceed 10% slope. So try, that you'd have to do a lot of blasting, earthwork, and everything to take a 15% slope and make it 10.
Yes, yeah.
You know that, yeah.
Right. And sorry. How wide are these roadways that you have? That main roadway that goes up there all the way to the access gate?
Yeah, the right of way is 50 feet. The two travel lanes are typically 11 feet wide, and then there would be additional on-street parking potentially outside of that.
Okay. Are you gonna make room for pedestrians to walk or bikes or anything like that?
Yeah, there's always I think it's a 6-foot landscape strip for street trees and then a 5-foot sidewalk on the outside of that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, both sides of the street.
Okay.
We've got a question here in chat. Let's see. Speaking of traffic concerns, do you know Franklin TDOT plan to improve 96 and I-65 intersection, specifically the bridge? This development is going to massively overload this area. We are already having a terrible time with traffic across the intersection. I'm not aware of any improvements to the I-65 interchange, no.
Greg, I can speak to that a little bit.
Okay.
This is Beth Berger, Alderman, Ward 1. So Jason Potts, south of 96 on Ward 3, and I'm north of 96 on Ward 1. We are, trying to petition TDOT to pay more attention to this intersection. It needs to be totally redone. The entire exchange there at 96 and I-65 needs to be totally redone. I've had some conversations with them. I know our mayor is constantly in meetings and our engineering team as well. And we are going to be speaking to them this coming year about where we fall on the totem pole for this. And it's not really anything real soon, but we need to talk with our state officials and try to get that pushed up. It is becoming more and more critical as an interchange, major interchange for our city. So we hear you loud and clear, and I'm with you 100%. This has got to be addressed sooner than later, and I will be focusing on that. In fact, I just was talking about this the other day with the mayor, so we'll be focusing on that some more and trying to move TDOT ahead, but we have to work with our state elected officials on that, and they are well aware of that, and I've asked for some meetings this coming year. So just wanted to give you that information. Can't give you anything else, but I just want to let you know that we are looking into this and not ignoring it, and I will not be ignoring it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Berger. Jan, you've got a question? Go ahead. Jan, you'll need to take yourself off mute. Sorry.
I guess this is just a comment to what Alderman Berger just mentioned.
Yeah.
In thinking of the traffic issue at 96 and 65, it seems to me as if one of the ways we could mitigate the traffic as we wait for DOT, the Tennessee DOT, to address that exchange would be to slow down the rate of growth in the building of homes in some of these areas. Just a comment.
Thank you.
Thank
We have
you.
another chat. Is there going to be a fence around Coletta Park? I'll need to get back to you on the fence. I'm not sure. I just don't know that off the top of my head. But I'm happy to find an answer for you.
Just one quick thing on that bridge. Yeah, that's I know we had some in Los Angeles. It's a major undertaking. They're gonna have to widen that bridge over the freeway, so that's gonna take years. And that is as I understand you saying, that's not on there's no plans to widen that bridge as of yet. Is that correct? And if so, how many years after there's a proposal would take before they would be able to construct it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember where it falls in their line of projects, but it's not not anytime too soon. But as I said, we are working to push that up. We have numerous things like economic development, population growth, all these other things that are able to be worked in our favor to actually, when we were talking with TDOT, to move the needle ahead a little bit, so to speak. But we'll be looking at this coming year to see exactly where it is and what the plans are and how soon we can start addressing it. But as I said, we really need to work with our state officials and we need to get help from them to work with TDOT so we can push this along. Our mayor is very much on top of this as well because he's constantly attending the meetings. And I hear you, we're looking at this development here tonight and also the growth in the area. So I really appreciate your comments.
Thank you. Any final questions? Well, thank you all so much for making time for us tonight. I hope this was informative. And we really, really appreciate you paying attention to what's being proposed and being involved. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions or want to make sure that you have the timeline right for the process going forward. So happy to accommodate. Thank you all.
Thank you.